I am so excited today to have another happy client interview. You guys know that I love these. And today I am speaking with my client of, I think we're getting to 2 years.
Mhm.
Dr. O of STEMearly. Welcome, Dr. O, to Althea TV.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm amazed at the journey. 2 years, and we're going to talk about it, but what you've helped me do is bananas. It's literally so I'm thinking about the happy client interview last year and how just I was so excited about just everything God was doing, and I was so excited about my prices and what I'm making. And this year it's like four times that. And like it's crazy. Like when I say started from the bottom, and I can't even say started from the bottom, now we're here, because I know it just remains to be seen. Like it's crazy. I know we're going to talk about it, but I just want to give everyone a precursor. This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
I absolutely love it. Well, let's rewind a little and tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help, and how
So,
you're changing the world
oh
through
yeah,
your business.
through my business. So my name is Dr. O. I'm founder, executive director of STEMearly LLC, and I'm a creator of this program called the Gospel According to STEM. So what I do is I provide best practices for helping people implement STEM in their classrooms, in their curriculums, in their churches. And I just feel like I'm a limitless ambassador for Christ. And so with my gift of teaching, I'm able to use that gift not just in ministry, but also in the marketplace. And I'm only able to do that because of you. And
And Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit led through you.
Oh, this is going to be a fun journey. I absolutely love it. So, um, why don't we do a quick, like, where you were before you hired me and we started working together in 2019, right? In 2019, yes. So take us, really quickly where you were before hiring me and we began working together in 2019. Where were you in
So,
your business?
so what business? First of all, there was no business. I had all these great ideas. I knew I was called for a greater purpose. I was in a PhD program and just spinning my wheels, right? Not getting anywhere. I was post comps, which means I'd already taken the test, and all I needed to do was write to finish. But I couldn't even, I was like spinning my wheels. So now we're in year 4 post comps, spinning my wheels. Everything is crazy. And I just heard the Spirit prompted me in 2018 saying, you need a coach, you need a coach, you need a coach. So there was a company out there called the Ph.D. Consultants, right? And they help you finish and get through your PhD. And so consulting with them and them helping me to write, I know the director, and she was like, you have a lot in you and you need a business coach. And I was like, what? She's like, your PhD is more than just you finishing. She's like, I'm totally going to help you write, help you defend. She's like, but you have a lot in you, and you should really consider getting a business coach. And I was like,
Wow.
so that seed was planted way back in the beginning of 2018. It may even been 2017. And so it was just always there. So instead of hiring a coach, I did what most people do. I went on YouTube, because you don't need a coach, because you can get all this information for free. So I started watching YouTube videos of people that I admired, people that were doing it. And I just immersed myself in YouTube University for female entrepreneurs from 2017 to 2018. And I had all this information, but I still was going nowhere. And so in 2018, I was talking to a good friend of mine. Her name is Rebecca. And I said, I just feel like I got this in me and I want to do all this stuff, have all these ideas. And I feel like entrepreneurship may be where God is calling me. I'm thinking about hiring a coach. And I told her the particular coach I was thinking about hiring. And she was like, no, I have a coach for you. Althea McIntyre, go to her website. So I go to the website, I'm looking around and I'm looking and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to make that investment. I'll just stick with the YouTube. And so I'm YouTubing it.
YouTube University.
YouTube you, getting nowhere. And Rebecca comes back and she's like, did you call Althea? I was like, no. She was like, listen, I was on the website. So my friend goes on the website. She was like, I was on the website. You just need to have a call. Just do a call for me because it's heavy on me. And I just want you to do a call. And that's where it all started.
Wow. So a lot of challenges were spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
Before working with me. So so spinning your wheels, knowing you had all this inside of you and other people confirming, but not knowing how to get it out in the world.
Right. Just thinking that I could do it without a coach. And it was funny because even after the initial call, and which was transformative, you had me do this activity where we drew the line. It was a lot. Like after that free call, I was like, I had to go sit down and say la for a moment. And I was just like, but am I willing to make this investment? Right? Because I don't have a business. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 children. At the time, they were 2, 4, 6, and 8, or 3, 6, 9, and 10, or something like that. But they're stair steps. I said, I have 4 kids. I'm already spending an exorbitant amount of money on a Ph.D. Am I going to make this investment? And I wrestled with that. And I was listening to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he was doing a sermon, and it was almost like he spoke right to me. He was like, you think you can get to the next level without someone to usher you in. You cannot. He said, even Jesus had to be presented on the scene by John the Baptist. He was like, you can watch me all day. He was like, you can watch me all day. But until you get someone that's been there, that can journey with you through that place, you'll never make it to the next level, because the door to the next level is always a person. And I was like, well, and that's when I was like, all right, well, I'm tired of just spinning my wheels. I'm tired. So what's there to lose at this point?
Yeah. Wow, that's gonna bless so many people. Like, wait, which sermon did TD Jake say that? and I do remember during that sales call, that transformative sales call, that you had done some consulting work through another organization. So in addition to completing your PhD and being a stay-at-home mom, I'm kind of giggling around that phrase, and you know why. You had done some work, right? Correct? Yeah. Am I right with that?
Yeah. So I was consulting with CEI. That's another fun story. I wasn't ready to go back into the classroom because it was just too much with 4 small children and trying to write a thesis. So my husband was like, you need to find opportunities for income. So I was trying to find little odds and ends. And so I sent my resume into this company because they were looking for an intern. Now, I was not looking to work for them. I was looking to intern to get more knowledge for my PhD. And they wrote me back and said, you can't be an intern. You're way too qualified for an intern. We want you to be one of our teachers.
Wow.
Like, okay. And they were like, we can offer you $300 to $500 for a session. That's our going rate for teachers. So if you would be willing to go out and give some presentations here or there, whenever we get one, would you be willing? I was like, absolutely. I was like, $400. That's so much money for a 2-hour presentation. I'll take it. Right. And so it was sporadic when the opportunities would come, but that is what I was doing to try to gain some income. And, $400 for someone who had not worked since 2008.
Oh,
that's good. That's my groceries, so I just felt like I was now contributing again financially to the family. So it meant a lot. And $400 may not be a lot to some people, but to me, it was like, you're going to pay me $400 to come do what I love, which is teach people? I'm in. And so that's what I was doing when we started working. But again, it was very sporadic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are some of, so that was, start of 2019, and take us to, you know, I would say near the end of 2019, because we worked together for a year, if I'm correct. What results, if you remember, I actually remember one of what results did you achieve during that first year of us coaching together?
The biggest result I got was that I was worthy
Mm,
and that I was valuable and I had something to bring to the table that people should pay for.
wow.
That was my biggest, and that took a year, and that mentality and that confidence is consistently under attack. Consistently.
Wow. Let's rewind. So that's what you left with. What was your mindset before? What were some of the lies that you were believing and come into
Um,
agreement?
what qualifies you to charge this much? Um, who told you were smart enough to do this? You know, you have a teaching degree. You don't know anything about business. What makes you think you can be a business owner? Um,
Mm,
this is not made for you. You know, you're just a mom.
right.
You're just
So
a
so I want to put a pin to that, because for those moms who may be like, what is she making fun of stay-at-home moms? Absolutely not. We know that's an honorable role in the world. But I remember you only identifying yourself as a stay-at-home mom, and I couldn't understand. I was like, wait, but you're telling me you do some training occasionally, and then you're working on your PhD, but you really felt you were only a stay-at-home mom. So that is where the
yeah,
giggle.
and that was my mindset, and that's the trap of the enemy because he tries to pigeonhole you and tries to make you identify with what you do, and then tries to pigeonhole you into this role saying this is what a stay-at-home mom is, so you
Mm,
can't, and now I'm saying, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have a business and I, you know what I mean, but before the mindset was like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so you had
mm,
to break that, and you had to show me the beauty in my position and where I was as a stay-at-home mom and the freedom that it gave me to set my own hours, charge my own price. I don't have to report to a principal. I don't have to report to the board of ed. Nobody's driving me. So moms, we have a unique position if we take it that way, and the enemy knows it. So he's always going to be like, you're just a stay-at-home mom, instead of, yo, I'm a stay-at-home mom, right? Like,
right,
let's go.
right, right. So there was a lot. So the biggest transformation was your identity,
Yes.
your identity.
Yeah.
And what happened with the pricing? Let's talk about that, because you started with only doing consulting through an organization.
Right.
What type of results did you achieve from business services and business pricing during the first year?
So during the first year of working with you, like I said, I was telling you what I was making. Like I'd go do a PD, and sometimes it would be $400, and sometimes it'd be five, six. And I remember you saying, the first thing, what are you charging? Like, what do you mean you only charge that much? So you're like, for your next proposal that they send to you, I need you to charge $1,200. Now, this was bananas.
Oh, we first went to 1,200. I
Yeah,
forgot that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was like, wait, what? Like, yes, you need to $1,200. Boom, that's what you need to do. Now, you also said this is way beneath you, but I know where you are in your mindset. And so I know this is a stretch for you. So I appreciate the journey and you being with me every step of the way,
Mm,
because to me, $1,200 was a lot. It was a lot to ask for. It was a complete leap of faith. And I really just needed to ask the executive director. She was going to do all the negotiations. So that was really nerve wracking for me. I went and I asked her, and she said, okay, not a problem. I was like, okay, so we do this PD. I get $1,200. I'm freaking out. I'm like, Althea, this is great. And so this next one comes about and she says, I need you to go in, same client, and now I need you to do the negotiation for me because I'm so busy. So I come to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do this negotiation. What should I do? They want kind of something similar. And then you're like, 1,700. I'm like, ah! I'm like, okay, first of all, Althea, this is like 4 months later. Okay. And it was like January or something. They paid me 1,200. And now it's like May and they want something similar. And you're telling me 1,750. 1,750. I'm like, what? And I just remember being like, Althea, and see, here was the deal with the 1,750. The 1,200, I asked my executive director, she negotiated with the client. This one, you want me to go in, and then I'm like, well, what if I jack it up? Then the company's gonna be mad at me, and you're like, listen, you got this. She obviously trusts you, or she wouldn't send you to do it. Be her representative. You are gonna make the company better. You're gonna make yourself better. This was a journey. I remember shaking on the phone with my script like this. I'm shaking on the phone to make the call, to do the meeting. We're not even talking about pricing yet. And I remember sitting in that meeting and they got to, so what's the price? And I remember you said, say the price with confidence and be quiet. That was the best advice you could ever give. Because sometimes we talk ourselves out or we try to justify why we're charging what we're charging. And it makes us sound like we are not confident. So I said, and it'll be 1,750. And I got quiet. And then they said something that really, like the first time was like, not a problem, cool. This time they said, well, we'll have to think about it. And my heart sank. I called you. I was like, oh dear, what? And they didn't call for 2 days. You remember? And I was blowing you up. And I was like, oh dear, oh my God. You're like, the Lord is your provider. I was like, but what if I messed up? And what if they say no? And what if, and it was 2 days, but I appreciate those 2 days that they didn't say yes, because I had to wrestle with the mindset that I didn't think I was worth 1,750.
Wow.
I didn't think I was worth that. Now, this is 4 months later, because I'm like, who am I to charge 1,700 when in January I charged 1,200? This is the same client. And so finally, the director called me and she's like, we thought about it. We really like what you do. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do we're going to do it because the teachers love you. It's great. So I was like, oh, I got it. Right. So now 6 months later.
Oh, this is so good.
6 months later, they're like, we need you again. Again, now keep in mind, this is all contracting. Like, this is not my company. So I called the exec, I said, hey, they're wanting us again. She's like, you handle these. Like, I got a whole other stuff to do. You handle these and we'll just I'll decrease my percent and you handle these. So I came to you and I said, oh my gosh, she wants me to handle this stuff and she wants to decrease. And you're like, this is fabulous. She's like, you're like, this is your chance. So I said, they want something similar. What do I do? And you're like, now granted, keep in mind, the first time I worked with these people, I got 750. The second time I got 12. The third time I got 17. This was all in less than an 18-month time span.
Right. I think it's even less than that.
Less than that.
No, it's less than that.
Yeah, it might even be less. So now that was May, right? So they're like, we're looking at, our next PD. It's in the future, whatever. And this was the last PD I did pre-pandemic with them.
Right.
And it was like November, because that was May. So now we're looking at a November PD. So May, June, July, so like 5 months later. I said, okay, Althea, they want me back for November. And what do I do? And you were like, 2 hours, $2,750. I was like, no. Okay, now you're doing team too much, Althea. Now you're doing too much, because there is no way that they are going to give me 27 for a 2-hour PD when less than 18 months ago, they were only giving me $750. You were like, trust me, this is what you need to do. They can never pay you what you're worth, blah, blah, blah. So this was major for me. Like, this was a big deal. And let me tell you why it was a big deal, because every other time the directors at that particular school were like, okay, and it's okay. All right. This time, the director specifically said, this is a huge jump, Orinthia, and I'm not sure if we're willing to make that investment. And she's like, I'm just going to be honest with you. People charging these prices are companies, are established, she laid it out. She put it out there. She was like, you're charging prices as if you're, Dr. Wren, who is like the premier STEM lady, and her PDs are like $7,000 for 2 hours. And she does STEM PDs all over the world. You're charging prices like your Dr. Hiraman, who is a premier early childhood person, and her STEM PDs range anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000. And she was like, she's like, let me talk to, because we really like you. So they talk to the, whatever. She comes back 4 days later. Okay, so can you imagine 4 days later? And then I'm nervous because I'm thinking she's gonna call my exec and be like, yo, the nerve of this chick that called me and said this PD is gonna cost $2,750. She tripping and y'all need to fire her. So it was just agony for 4 days. And she said to me after 4 days, she said, we're gonna hire you, but my boss is gonna sit in the session.
Wow.
Because she wants to see this is going to be worth it.
Wow.
She's going to sit in the session. And she's like, I'll be honest with you, Orinthia, the only reason we're hiring you for this is because the teachers love you. And they come back to the school and they're so motivated. And I'm afraid that if we get anybody else to come in and teach them, there'll be anarchy. Like, where's Orinthia? We love her. So you can imagine director and director's boss in the back of my PD like this, Althea.
Wow. Letting their presence known.
And my, like, we had a virtual one, like you see all this stuff on there. My PDs, my teachings, we're dancing, we're Congo line. Do you think they participated in any of it? Absolutely not. This was the posture. So when it was over, they both came up to me and they said, we would have paid more than double for what you just did. You are clearly underpricing yourself, because what you just did was amazing. And it just, like, everything. I remember calling you about it because they didn't have to say that, but it was the Holy Spirit confirming to me that this is what you bring to the table. This is your value. And so I was like, oh my goodness, like, what? These are the same people that just said to me, who do you think you are with your non-website, non-PhD, think you one of the STEM experts in the field charging this price? And I'm surprised they didn't say, when less than 18 months ago, we was only giving you $750. But that was the power of the coaching, because I could not have done that without you showing me, this is what you're worth. This is what you say. They could never pay you what you're worth, but this is what you're offering for the services, because you're priceless. What you bring, no one else can bring. But I have to see that. And you allowed me to see that in steps. And I'm sure now that we're on the other side, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure you were cringing at 17. I'm sure you were like, oh my God, I can't even believe we're doing 17. But I needed that. And you know that I needed that. So whereas, you know, some people are making 6 and 7 figure, you know, $1 million deals, those of us that are brand new, we need that coaching to say, you are worth $1,700 because we don't see it.
Right, right. And I really love how you share your journey, because what, what your testimony is that you more than tripled your fees. And I do remember it was with the same client in a year, because we had worked together, but it was incremental.
It was incremental.
Yeah. It was incremental. So what would you say was you said that I walked with you through this journey, but what would you say, or what do you say was the most valuable thing that coaching with me helped you do, help so that you could really begin to own your value and price your services appropriately based on the results that you help your clients achieve?
So I think the best way to describe it is an analogy. So, you know, when you're in the weight room and you need a spotter, right? And so you're on that bench and you have these 2 plates on the bench and the spotters behind you and they have their hand under the bar, right? And so when it's getting heavy, they do this tap, tap, tap to help you. And then they tap, tap, tap and they help you and they tap, tap, tap. That's what you did for me. Because to me, 1,200 was a heavy lift. I'm in the gym, I got 1,200 on the bar and you're right there. You can do this. You got this. And then when I'm shaking and I'm nervous, you give me, boop, boop, here's some advice. Say this. When you get on the call, do this. I got some scripts, use this. And so I'm there, I'm shaking. I can't do it without a spotter. Because the minute I start shaking, if you're not there to tap that bar, and here's the deal, you're a coach unlike any other. You're not grabbing the bar. You're not going to lift it for me. And you for sure ain't going to put it back on the rack. Because we in here because I know you can do it, right? And so you just step back. And then once that bar, and I'm like, yes, I'm so excited, $1,200. You're like, great. And then you go get some more weights. Boop, get back on that bench, OJ. And I'm like, man, we're on the bench again. And you're under there. And because you're a coach who knows, like every great athlete has a personal weight training coach who studies them, who knows them, who prays and works with them. That's what you did. And that's what I can't get from YouTube. YouTube says, put $1,200 on the bar and go ask for it. So I'm like, yes, we can do it. I go put $1,200 on the bar. I get under the bar, I start shaking and no one's there to help me lift it. No one's there to tap it. No one's there to whisper in my ear and say, your left hand is a little too low. All you gotta do is push that left hand up a little bit. You can only get that from a personal coach. And so for me, it was your training as in being a divine spotter. Like we have a divine spotter in our walk with God known as the Holy Spirit, right? And so in our business, we need divine spotters that can come in. Yeah, YouTube can tell you charge $1,200. But YouTube can't tell you when you're shaking on the phone, say it this way.
Right.
YouTube can't say, oh, I know. YouTube can give you a bunch of scripts, but YouTube can't say for this particular client, take out this part of the script and insert this.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what you did. And for a year, same client, we are getting results. And it's like being in the gym. If you're in the gym for a year, you can see results, but those results will be incremental. You didn't say, I just made $750 and now the next contract, you didn't say, okay, $2,750, because I wasn't ready for that. You knew I wasn't ready for that.
Right.
And I would have put it on the bar and I would have failed. And I think that's what happens sometimes when you get these, 1-800 buy a coach. And you're like, yeah, I got this coach. It was only $500. And then the coach is like, they don't even know you personally. And they're like, oh, and then they look at what you offer and they're like, oh, you should definitely be charging $27.50 for that. And you're like, great. And then you go charge $27.50 and you don't do the sales call right. You don't do whatever it is right. And then they look at you like you're crazy and you don't get the job. And then you're like, I just wasted my money because this coach didn't help me. No, you need someone that can help you go through the journey. And then they say stuff like, well, coaches don't work because I tried it and it doesn't work. No. Did you find someone who is like a spotter for you in the weight room, right? That can really tap that. You just can't get that generically is what I'm saying. And every stellar athlete, they have personal trainers that are specifically designed to help them get the results they need. And they know today we're doing 10 pounds. Tomorrow we're doing 15. And guess what? The stronger you get, and we'll talk about it, you may go from 45 pounds to 250 because the coach knows you're ready. I know you only did 100 yesterday, but let me tell you, I'm gonna put this 250 on this rack and we about to do this.
I love it. Really helping, really explaining the unique differences of the value in working personally one-on-one with a coach versus YouTube University that, it serves its purposes absolutely in different ways. So, and I think what's really important is you sharing that it was a journey, that it wasn't smooth sailing, that there was really difficult times. There was times that you were not happy with me, that during those waiting periods, where you questioned my strategy. But what I love about you, Dr. O, and you weren't even Dr. O then.
I wasn't even Dr. O then.
Right. But you did the work. That even though there was some doubt, that you did the work and now you are on the other side. And so tell us, you talked about like supercharge it. And I also wanted to say, you started saying, I don't have a business, but now you have STEMearly. When was that part of your journey? So that was year one. Okay. I'm saying a lot of things. So at the end of year one, that was your pricing, and you'll share if there's any other results that happened. Actually, I'd like you to share the other results that happened in your marriage, as a mother, and in your faith, and then we'll talk about year two. So, what happened? What other results happened within your marriage? In your faith.
In year one, so my husband was the one that made the investment because, as I shared, I was not working full time. So when I shared with him, this is what I want to do, he was very reluctant. Like, he was like, I don't know about this. This is a lot of money. And my husband's an accountant. So he's like, what's the ROI? Like, what we doing? But towards the middle of us working together, something in him started to change. And he started to say things like, you mean with Althea again? When you meet with Althea, things are a little bit different. Like, and I didn't really notice it, but he was seeing the change in me. And I started to notice that he noticed. And I started to notice that whereas we having a knockdown drag out when I'm asking for the credit card to make my monthly payment, toward the middle of us coaching, I would be like, oh, I need to make the payment for Althea. And then he would just give me the card, which is major in our house, like major. And so then when your retreat came up, right? And my husband was like, I want to go. And I was like, you what? Because at first I was like trying to get some girlfriends to go with me, like, because I didn't want to go to Belize by myself. And I was like, let's get the girlfriends to go. And I mentioned to my husband that this is what I wanted to do. And he was like, all right, well, I want to go. And I was like, he was like, yeah, I want to see what this is all about because it's doing something in you. And I need to know what it's doing. I shared before and I'll share it again. I came home with a different husband.
Came home with a brand new husband.
Belize, like, I thought Althea was an amazing coach for me. But I was like, maybe she needs to do another arm of her business where she's coaching husbands, because some of the things that you did with him, one in particular, you coached him and everything, and you guys, and you shushed me a lot because you were like, this is not about you. But one of the things you all said was, every morning when this is over, you're gonna get up 6, 7 a.m. You're gonna do devotion, and you're really gonna start asking God to show you what songs, because my husband's he's a vocalist and he wants to do that full time, and but he does accounting. You're gonna get up early, and you're gonna. My husband goes, yes, I'm gonna get up early, and I'm gonna. And in my head, I'm in Belize, like, okay, yeah, right, because my husband never gets up early ever. Okay, and he's always running late for work. So, and he's all pumped and excited, and I'm like, this will wane as soon as we get home. Like, I didn't believe it. What are we, 2 years post Belize?
A year and a half. Mm-hmm.
Year and a
A
half
year,
post.
a year, the 13, well, yeah, almost 2 years. June will be 2 years.
Every morning since then, he's been up. He's been going through everything that those exercise. Like, he changed. He changed. And it was all because I was coaching with you. And you were giving me strategies for how to operate, not just in my business, but in my home, because you started talking about systems and processes and trust the system. And yes, you got lots of pushback, because I was like, I've been working a system for a week and I don't see no results. Coming to my coaching meetings now, it's funny, because of where we are now. One of the ladies in my company will now watch our Zoom calls, and she mentioned, she's like, I've never seen you quiet. I was like, you should have seen me year one. I would be in the meeting just, and sometimes, when we would meet on the phone, I'd be like, because it was just a journey, but what you enabled me to do changed my whole house. It changed the atmosphere of my home. It changed my marriage for the better. And now we're team and family. We're all in this together. It's like my kids are like, STEMearly, it's awesome. And STEMearly was my husband's idea.
Wow.
It wasn't even mine. He was the one that was like, you need to start a business.
Yeah, you have to fully break from the
Yeah,
just doing contract.
you need to stop doing the contracts, because there came a point where you taught me how to do the cold calls. You taught me how to reach out. You taught me how to do the sales calls. You taught me how to negotiate contracts. You taught me how to write the follow-up emails. You taught me the process. And I was doing that entire process and bringing this company contract upon contract. And you said, of course she's going to lower her fee. She doesn't have to do anything and still get 10% of everything you're doing. And that's when my husband was like, you need to start your own company where you're doing this STEM stuff, because you're already doing it. You're already doing it. And that's him seeing you coach me. And then we bring him into the mix. And now, let me tell you, the sky's the limit. The sky.
Really?
It's crazy. I see what you saw from the beginning. And
yes,
when you say these crazy things, like, I see you as the leader of this company where you're employing all these teachers or stay-at-home moms who have this gift of teaching, but they can't afford to be in the classroom full time, but they need to make and earn an income and use their gifts to impact the world. You're going to be the general that gathers these teachers together and send them out globally. And I'm like, she tripping. I don't know what she's talking about. Like, I'm just trying to finish my PhD. Like, so it's just been, I can see it now. And it's because of your holistic approach to coaching. You're not here to coach me in my business. You're here to coach me as an ambassador for Christ, understanding that my business is a tool for bringing God glory in my life. So there's no such thing, and that's another thing I learned coaching with you. There's no such thing as a work-life balance, as if they're on two separate scales. It's one and the same. So your business is your marriage, is your family. And the minute you start to treat it all the same, you'll see an overall growth in your life. And that can only happen through going through the process. And sometimes the process is hard and the process requires sacrifices. And sometimes you're going to have to say no to your church functions, OJ. And I was like, why I got to say no? They can't go on without me, and then you give me the boundaries and you tell me what to do. And then all of a sudden the women's ministry is carrying on without me. You know what I mean? But that's the things that you bring to this coaching space that you cannot get from YouTube University, and maybe even from some other coaches who do believe in the segregation of your business. Like, I'm here to coach you in your business. I'm not worried about your family life, because there were, like, I remember one call in particular that Arthur and we had just had the hugest argument, and I was in a space and I had to meet with you. And I can't remember what the topic was we were going to be coaching on. And you said, I'm sensing something. You're like, what happened before we got on this call? Because you seem uneasy. I'm like, oh, I'm good. Try to fake it, put your church face on, fake it till you make it. Because I really want to learn this skill, this sales skill that you're going to teach. And you were like, no. And then you said, I'll never forget it. You said, if you don't tell me, Holy Spirit will. I hate her. So then I tell you what happened. And you said, okay, we're not doing sales today. We're going to talk about your marriage. And we're going to talk about where you are in your marriage. And that's what we're talking about today. Where your mind is. And we spent that whole time talking about, and it was for the better. It was for the better. And I'm like, what coach does that? The other coaches will be like, well, you're going to have to put that on the shelf because we got to do this. But you can't put that on the shelf. And every good coach and every good teacher knows there's a hierarchy of needs, and I cannot attend to you if my mind is somewhere else. So if my mind is somewhere else, let's go there. You know why? Because that's connected to your business.
Yes.
So, and I learned all of that in just a year. And let me say, it was work. It was work. It wasn't the skip through the park thing, but if you want to get big, you got to lift something heavy.
Yes.
And so I'm feeling pretty big right now.
Yes. So this is fantastic. This is fantastic, sharing your journey. And now, where are you in terms of your financial results or your pricing? Because we're really focusing about your pricing and owning your value and the transformation God did in your mindset and how you were able to grow into being who God called you to be, the entrepreneur God called you to be. So share with us now.
Okay, so now that I'm STEMearly, I still do contracting with the other company, but I'm STEMearly now. And so now I'm going out and I'm negotiating contracts for my services. The last contract we negotiated for my services for teaching was $30,000. 30,000.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yep. And
what would you say to the woman, $30,000, and it's nothing, like it's a big deal.
A big deal.
It's a huge deal. Let me stop. It's a huge deal. And it's a drop in the bucket of what God's called you to do. So what would you say to the mother, the wife, who is sitting on possibly, others are telling her that she is to be an entrepreneur and going from charging $750 to make it easy to now negotiating $30,000 contracts?
Is that it's possible. It's possible. And if you don't think it's possible, that's proof positive that you need a coach.
Wow.
Because everybody's been telling you, you have gifts, you have talents, you can do this, you can do that. And people are going to continue to tell you, but you don't believe it. And that's okay, because that's why Althea is here to help you. Because you don't have to see that it's possible. You just have to make the investment and do the work.
Right. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I love this testimony. That client that was 750 who questioned you, you know, pricing, charging, you know, at the same level of thought leaders in your field. What are you now? Because this is a really fun one.
So this
What are
is
you now? What are they now paying for the same
so
webinar?
this one is super fun because um post pandemic, or we're in pandemic, and I'm following the systems and processes, but I'm also following them still for CEI, the organization, whatever. And they reach out to me and they say, hey, we have this PD coming up, we want you to work. Now I'm like, I don't, in my mind, I'm like, it's 2 weeks away. I don't have time for this. I'm in the middle of trying to get this $30,000 contract. I got a lot to do. So I just was like, I'm just going to give them a number. And so I was like, okay, God, what's the number? And the Lord was like, 6750. And I was like, I laughed and I was like, bet, I'll put it down. Cause in my mind, I was like, they're going to say absolutely not. And I'll just keep moving because I really didn't have time to create the PD anyway. So the Lord was just like, if you could do it next week, what would you charge?
Wow.
Would you charge 67? I was like, yeah, that sounds good. 6750. And then he was like, all right, well, write it down. So I write this number down, right? Now, keep in mind, the last PD I did for them, I believe, was November before the pandemic hit, November of 2019 or whatever it was. And that was the PD I was telling you about that I charged $27.50.
Right.
And we would pay more than double, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. I sent this email thinking they'll just laugh at me and keep it moving. And guess what? I don't even care because I got these other contracts on the book. So I'm not even tripping about that right now. So
funded mindset.
Yeah. I was like, whatever. If they don't want me, cool. I mean, literally it went bing. All right, we'll get us the contract. Like there was no question. There was no sounds fine. Send us the contract. You mean the people that paid me $750 in 2018 for 2 hours are now going to pay me $67.50 for 2 hours? I don't even know what to say.
One, it's God, because God told you the pricing, and we may have to have another conversation about like, how did you arrive at the pricing? It was definitely value-based pricing, and it was also being spirit-led, and that it's absolutely possible that, yes, they'll pay if you are willing to give your services away basically for free. Mm-hmm. But you had to recognize and own your value, and that and then they recognized it. And so why wouldn't they pay you what they know is appropriate?
Yeah.
And if everyone's wondering, I don't like to use worth because, as Dr. O says, your worth is priceless. Your worth is in Christ, but your value, now we can put a price tag on that.
Yeah. It was
so fantastic. So fantastic of the journey. What was the toughest part working with me? Let's just be honest. You did the work, you have the results now, you see the vision that I shared with you from 2 years ago, and you're walking in that. But what was the toughest part?
Doing the work and believing that doing the work will yield the results when my negative me was saying this will never work. So really fighting through the negative chatter while doing what you told me. So like, I know one of the things you said was outsource your laundry, right? That may seem like something small to you all, but for someone who's not making a consistent income,
who wasn't at the time,
paying this amount of money for laundry services, the enemy was like, you can spend that money on groceries. could spend that money on groceries. You could like those things, and really just say, no, I'm committed to, or why are you even making this call? Why are you making these calls? Like, no one's going to answer. You're not going to know what to say. There's just really no point. Don't even pick up the phone. Just send an email and call it a day. When I know you said do the call and the email. So just really fighting through those negative and silencing the negativity, because the mindset work is the hardest work.
Yeah.
Because once you get the mindset, like people who have the mindset, it's no harder to dial 7 digits and say hello yesterday than to, it's physically not different. It's not different. I pick up the phone,
Right.
I dial the number, I say hello, whether it was last year or next year. What makes it difficult is the mindset you have when you pick up this phone. Is your hand in this because the enemy is telling you you're not worthy? And if it is, it's okay, because that's when I would call you. That's when you would encourage me. That's when and then you get to a place where this is my process. Hey, hi, how are you? And that if they say no, it doesn't even bother you because it wasn't a good fit, because you're not my source. You're a resource. That was one of the biggest things you taught me. You don't have to be nervous on sales calls, because the people that you're calling to offer a service, they're not the source. They're not the source. And so it really doesn't matter if they say no. Selling is serving. And when you stop selling, you stop serving. And you said you were committed to serving Christ. And how you serve Christ through your business is you offer. And whether they take it or not, it's really not on you. And you can hear that, but if you have the negative chatter, it's not super easy to do. And it wasn't. It was a journey. And I'm not going to say, I just wrote this $30,000 contract and I was good. That's not the truth. I still needed you. And I don't think we ever grow to a place in our business where we say, oh, I don't need a coach, because there's always another level. And like Bishop Jake said, the entrance to the next level is always a person.
This is so good, because what you're helping the viewers understand, that it was the hardest part about working with me was overcoming the lies and the poverty mindset as you did the work. It wasn't finding the time. It wasn't, like understanding the strategies. It wasn't, putting the processes in place. It was overcoming the lies as you did the work.
Yep. That was the hardest.
So good. How did you grow as we get ready to wrap up? And we'll have to make sure that you share where people can learn about you. And we just actually shared a little bit about your work, because of course there is and I'll just do this proud plug. Of course, there's a course that you do, The Gospel According to STEM, that helps children in sanctification between the ages of 5 and 10. So they can go, and you're going to tell them where they can go to learn more about that. How did you grow? How did your faith grow?
It definitely got stronger. I can hear the Spirit more clearly. It's very clear. I've always been able to hear God, but there's these places in my heart that God didn't have access to. And one of the places was the gift of entrepreneurship. Like I couldn't even hear him in that area because I'd shut that down. But through your coaching, I've been able to tune in, and I can hear 6750 and not blink and write it down, because I know that was God, And so I really appreciate the fact that I started my business being Spirit led.
Wow.
Right. So I really appreciate that, because it wasn't like I had this established business with all these systems in place and processes, and I had to go relearn how to hear the Holy Spirit through all that clutter. It was like, no, the foundation of my walk as an entrepreneur is seeped in how to hear the Holy Spirit in your business. And that's priceless.
That is priceless. And right. And so it's, it wasn't that God wasn't already speaking to you, is that you didn't give him access.
He had no access.
And once there was access, it's like the floodgates opened.
Yep.
And this is all as a business owner.
That's all I know.
Yeah. From someone who had to unlearn, that is priceless. That is priceless. So we're so happy for your second happy client interview. And I know this is not the last. And for those who want to learn more about your work, where's the best place, the one best place they can reach you?
So I think the best place you can reach me is on my Linktree. So it's Linktree/Dr. O. And so on Linktree, there's tabs for everything I'm doing. My STEM work, my PD work, my equity work, my work with kids. And so that's kind of like the hub where everything is. If you just want to get to know a little bit more about me and what it is that I do in general as a whole. You can also go to STEMearly.org, which is my website, which I have a website now.
Right. Important note. So all of this happened without her having a website.
Yeah. I just got a website. Like,
so it's also possible. Don't believe the lie. We love websites, but don't believe the lie that sometimes you think you need more than you do.
Yeah. No.
So, Linktree/Dr. O. As an OH. As the best place that we can reach you for those who are interested in learning more. Thank you so much for being a happy client guest on Althea TV. We've appreciated your story and your journey and your walk. And I am so blessed to have walked with you through this journey and this transformation. Like I said on the top of the interview before the scenes is I'm looking at a new woman.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm looking at the woman who God, showed me before we started coaching, and actually like there's so much more. So I love these, we get to continue the journey. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being a happy client.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Then click the TV to watch the next video. Don't forget to visit my website at altheamcintyre.com to get your free sales masterclass. Until next time, take care. God bless you.